Hello again friends, North here with another Bakugan Battle Planet video. Now after all of the videos that I've already got up on the channel, I finally feel safe in saying that we have enough product to actually get into gameplay. So we're going to start off that series of videos with a deck profile here. So this is only a deck that I've built with the product that South and I have access to. It's not by any means the best deck out there that you can build. It just happens to be the one that I threw together to try and get an idea of deck building. So we're just going to go through that. We're going to go through my thought process a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the decisions that I made and why I made them. So as you can see from the Bakugan that we have laid out, this is a Ventus, Aquos, and Darkus deck built around some of my favorite Bakugan from the lineup. So we'll go through their choices first, and then we'll go through Bakugans, and then we'll go through the ability cards. So first, our character card choices. We went with Ventus Trox because it has a high starting B power. Even though the low damage doesn't matter, it's okay. You just want to win those first couple battles. It brings a magic shield and a helix core to the field. Magic shield's okay to have around. The helix doesn't really affect much usually. They don't usually offer huge bonuses to either stat. The next Bakugan is Aquos Fangzor, which we have around for similar reasons to Trox. It's a high B power, unevolved Bakugan, so it comes out of the gate ready to swing, even if it doesn't inflict a whole lot of damage starting out. Now, it brings a Fire Fist and a normal fist to the field. Neither of those are really impactful. It does help bring its base damage up, so those two cores can help Trox and Fangzor get in some higher damage in the initial couple of turns, but they don't usually affect the game in general. Our third and final Bakugan, which if you've been paying attention to the channel for a little while, you know that my favorite faction is Darkus, and you might have picked up on that my favorite model from the Wave 1 Bakugan is the Mantonoid Ultra. So here we have Darkus Mantonoid Ultra. Now this one is purely an aesthetic choice. I just really liked the Mantonoid, and it was the one Darkus Bakugan that we had that I really liked seeing on the field a lot, so I just went with that. It only has 300 B power starting it out, and it has 4 damage, so it's not really what you want to see going into the first couple turns. Usually I end up using it on the first turn just to get it out of the way. If I win, great, I don't have to use it again until I can boost its power higher, or if I lose, it's not a big deal. It's the first turn. I'm only going to lose a couple of cards off of it anyway. So with those, that brings a magic shield and a shield core into the game, which does actually help a little bit. They're pretty good for boosting B powers of that Bakugan that lacks in B power. But again, it's usually not enough to help win its battles outright. So speaking of cores, we'll get right into those, starting with the magic shields. They are usually in high B power advantage numbers, so we'll start with that one. That's a 500 B deduction to the Bakugan that lands on it, and deductions, even though they might sound like a negative thing, in the play of B power, getting higher than your opponent, a negative 500 B to your opponent is effectively a plus 500 B to you. It doesn't matter the total number of your B power as long as it's higher than your opponent's. And moving into the second magic shield, it is a plus 600 B power. So that if you land on this core and your opponent lands on this core in the same turn, you end up having a 1,100 B power difference right out of the gate at the start of the battle. So it's just something to keep in mind there. We will move on to the normal shield. We get one normal shield from the Darkus Mantonoid Ultra, and that is a plus 400 B to Darkus and Aquos, because we are playing a Darkus and an Aquos Bakugan, and we want to limit our opponent's ability to take advantage of the cores that we are playing. We'll move into the fists with the normal fist first, with a plus 100 B, again, to Darkus and Aquos, because we are playing Darkus and Aquos, and we want to limit the benefits that we give to our opponent. A fiery fist with plus 150 B power and 4 damage. We usually want to land on this one with either the Trox or the Fangzor, because they already have the damage to take that first battle, and being able to hit for 5 damage right out of the gate in turn 2 or so can really turn the game, but it doesn't always. And then finally we have our Helix core, which is coming in at a minus 100 B power and a plus 4 damage. So this is a trap core that I usually end up putting toward my opponent's side of the field rather than mine, and just hoping that they can land on it early in the game when my B powers are on Fangzor and Trox are higher than the average on an opponent's team. Now we can finally get into the decisions that were the most difficult to learn and the hardest to pick up on, which is usually true through whatever card game you're playing, ability cards, or just building your deck in general. So we'll start out with the Ventus ability cards. First off, we play 3 Diamond Trox, and we play that not really for the B power, but because we want it out as fast as we can, turn 3. It's 3 energy evolution, so assuming that we can get lined up to win that turn 3 battle, we want to whip this out as fast as we can because we want that victory ability. We want to energize the top card of our deck. It might take us down by 1 in terms of life, but being able to get that energy out faster than normal will open us up to being able to play more cards to help us with the B power advantage and helping us pick up the slack on that Mantonoid Ultra to help win and just chisel away at our opponent. Speaking of B power advantage, we have 3 Deafening Roar, minus 600B for 3 energy. It's a big number, but that's not why I play it. I play it because the Ventus faction has the best B power advantage 2 energy cost that I have found on just straight out cards. No discard, like on the Darkus faction. No if your hand is empty caveats like the Pyrus faction. No if you have the most Bakugan on your Bakugan, like the Chaos faction requires. It's just outright 600 damage for 3 energy, 200 B power for each energy that you pay. It's fine. Coming in behind that, we have our turn 2 option, Piercing Scream, which is just minus 400 B for the 2 energy, so it's still the same ratio. It's 200 B power for each energy that you're paying, and it's an earlier game option to helping increase your B power advantage. And then for the rest of our Ventus faction cards, Ventus is all about accelerating that energy and getting it out as fast as we can. So we play two sets of cards to do that. First, we play Wild Strike, which is minus 4 damage to an incoming attack. So if you lose that 4th battle, you can just decrease the damage by 4, kind of brace for the hit, and then it lets you energize it uncharged. So it's accelerating that energy. So going into turn 5, instead of 5 cards in the energy, you have 6. And our second energy acceleration ability card that we play is just straight 3 of turn to energy. 2 energy cost, energize that card uncharged. Turn 2, you're rolling out with Fangzor or Trox, you're going to win that battle for the most part, so you can feel confident during the victory phase, just paying the 2 energy from your second turn, energizing that, and then going into the turn 3 with 4 energy instead of 3. Then we move on into the Aquos faction, and for the most part, we're playing this entirely for Hyper Fangzor's ability. It's a 4 energy cost, and on turn 4, when you play it, you get to draw 3 cards, so this deck goes through its cards really fast. You have to be able to maintain that hand size, or you're going to be in trouble when it comes to rolling that Mantonoid Ultra out. So right around turn 4, we can get the Hyper Fangzor down, get a couple more cards in hand, and be set up for Mantonoid Ultra the next turn. It doesn't hurt that it's a B power of 1000, which is right around the level you want to be looking for in your Evolved Bakugan anyway. I could play the Titan Trox instead of the Diamond to get above that 1000 B power threshold, but it's a higher energy cost, and I'd rather get that energy acceleration out early in the game and then fall back on my B power advantage cards in the mid to late game. The Aquos faction did bring a couple of B power advantage cards to the table. The first of which is a 2 of Ice Barrier, 2 energy for plus 400 B power. So it's again the same ratio that we've been seeing, 200 B power for each energy that you spend on them. We actually play 3 of the Ice Barrier, my mistake. We play 2 Wave Slash, which on top of giving just 300 B power for 3 energy, it's not the best. It's actually half of what the ratio we've been normally looking at, but it plays Aquos' gimmick of flow. So if you play another card during that turn that's evolving, play a low-cost card, anything, it gives you 1000 B power instead, and that can really turn the flow of a battle around really quickly. And the other thing that we focus on with the Aquos part again is draw. So we play 2 sets of cards for that. We play 2 Think Again, which lets us draw a card, and also has the Aquos gimmick of flow, and it lets you draw 2 cards if you have played another card in that turn. And then we play Cycling Thoughts. So for 3 energy, you draw 2 cards and return this card to the bottom of your deck. So drawing 2 cards would reduce your life count by 2, except with Cycling Thoughts, you're putting Cycling Thoughts back into the deck, so it's really only decreasing your life by 1 to give you 2 extra cards in hand that you can use. In a lot of card games, we deal with what's called card advantage, and that's for losing 1 card in your hand, how many cards do you get? So this is a +2 and a -1 because you're getting 2 cards, but you're losing 1 from your hand, so that's a +1 in card advantage, which in games like this one where drawing is kind of pretty limited, it's really important. That closes out our Aquos selections and moves us into the Darkus faction. So we can start out with the evolution for Mantonoid Ultra, Titan Mantonoid Ultra. It's really underwhelming when you first look at it, and it kind of stays underwhelming while you continue looking at it, but it's not all bad. It's 400 B power, which is far below what you want to see on an evolved Bakugan, especially one that's going to cost you 5 energy, but it makes up for that stat in damage, which is 10. This is really what you want to end up closing games out with. You want to do chip damage with Trox and Fangzor, and then just spam all of your B power advantage cards in the last couple turns to get this Titan Mantonoid, to get that 1 hit in, and then finish the game. It does have an ability on it. When you discard a card, it gets +400, and we play a couple of cards to play into that gimmick as well. The first one is actually here in our B power advantage cards. Stone Skin, +200 B, which for 3 energy isn't great. It's below the ratio that we've been seeing. But for sacrifice, you can discard a card and get 800 instead. So with the Mantonoid Ultra, for 3 energy, you can get 800, and then if you discarded 1, the Mantonoid Ultra gives you another 400, so that's 1200 B for 3 energy and 2 cards. It's not bad, and it definitely helps that Mantonoid pick up the slack that it's introduced into the team. Our second B power advantage card for Darkus is a very late game card, turn 6, turn 7, when you've already got the Mantonoid Ultra evolved and ready and willing. Unrivaled Jump 5 energy for 900 B power. It's the highest boost that we have in here, without using something like Flow or some other gimmick to meet another requirement, but it's also our highest cost card aside from the Mantonoid Ultra evolution card. So turn 6, turn 7, if you have to, you can play this, but they usually end up just getting energized. But I have them to have the option of something to play. We'll move on with more B power advantage cards with Prismatic Shield. This is one of the lowest cost cards that we play, +1, which for +200 B power, which maintains back into that curve that we've been looking at of 200 B power for each energy that you're paying to play the card. And it also helps us get off those flow cards. So if turn 3, turn 4, you can hit Prismatic Shield for 1, and then hit Ice Wall to go up 1,000, or we can hit Cycling Thoughts to draw 2 cards, Think Again to draw 2 cards. And then we play 3 1-ofs for Darkus. The first one is another B power advantage card, plus Storm Generator, 3 energy, plus 300 B power, and sacrifice. If you may discard a card to return this to your hand. So it's in there to help the Mantonoid get its ability off. So for 3 energy, that if you discard the card, that's actually 700 B power for 3 energy, and you get to return the Storm Generator to your hand. So late game, you can just play that one over and over from your hand, discarding a card each time, and go up by 700 each time you pay 3 energy. The second one that we're playing in here for Darkus is Corrupting Mist, which is only in here for Titan Mantonoid Ultra. 4 energy plus 100 B for each point of damage your Bakugan has. So that Titan Mantonoid Ultra has a damage rating of 10, so that's 10,000 B power for 4 energy. It's not quite as high as the Ice Wall, but it's right there in terms of B power advantage to energy cost. It's just 1 higher than the Ice Wall with Flow. So that's about the same in energy expenditure, because with Ice Wall you'd have to play something like Prismatic Shield here. So that's 1 energy off the bat, and then Ice Wall would be another 3. or you can just play the Corrupting Mist for 4 as well and go up 1,000. And the last one of the 1-ofs we pay for Darkus is Cycling Madness, which, similar to Cycling Thoughts, draw a card, but instead of drawing 2 cards, you draw 1, and your opponent discards 1, and then you return Cycling Madness back to the bottom of your deck. So in terms of life total, you don't change, and your opponent loses a card in terms of card advantage. And the last 3 cards that we play for Darkus, you might have noticed, so far haven't played any flip cards, but we play 3 Cease Outsiders for Darkus, because they're 3 energy, they stop an attack, but you don't want to see them in your hand, because even though you can energize them, a dead card is a dead card. If you can't play it right out of your hand, you don't want it in your hand, so you don't want to draw it. So we only play 3. If I had more of the low cost, 1 cost, 0 cost cards, I would be playing 3 of those instead, but I don't, so we're playing 3 Cease Outsiders to make up the last of the cards for the deck. And that is what we're looking at for my Ventus Trox, Aquos Fangzor, and Darkus Mantonoid Ultra deck list. Thank you for joining me here. Follow my social links in the description. Come hang out in the comments. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you changed. Tell me what you're playing in your deck. I will look at all of that. We'll have a nice little talk, and I will see you all next time.